All right, gang, we're gonna do a decal overview here. So here's all the available pieces that we have so far. So I'll start out with the door. This one we did a little bit different than the Tundra, so we actually broke it up into two. It's gonna be a little bit easier to handle because you don't have a 7 foot long piece. And you got built-in alignment, so these just align right to the bottom of the doors, and these align to the door edges, and you'll notice the pattern just flows from one decal to the next. All right, moving on to the hood. So we got the hood trio here. You got two side stripes, and you got the center hood scoop piece right here. And these are just all made to have a nice aggressive curve and flow all together when those are on. And you'll notice an asymmetric design, and you got your designation up there. This one in particular is a TRD Sport. So moving on to the tailgate, we got the Tacoma tailgate right now. We will have the TRD Pro tailgate out here within the next few weeks. Again, you got built-in alignment. This matches up perfectly around the handle, and then you just match this up to the edges. Super easy. All right, last but not least, we got the bedside decals. You'll notice a similar style as the Tundra, but these are definitely tailored for the Tacoma. And then we have the designation. Again, this is a TRD Sport, and that's gonna go in the stock location right there. Let's go ahead and cover the installation supplies that you're gonna need to get this done. All right, guys, to install this like a pro, you're gonna need a few things. So I always lay it out like this. You're gonna need some 70% isopropyl alcohol. You're gonna need a slip solution. This is just water and dish soap. You're gonna need, of course, some microfibers. The ones from Costco work great. And the other things you're gonna need is mock-up tools, marking tools, and install tools. So that means magnet or blue tape. We're gonna use both on this vehicle. This is a Stabilo pencil, comes in handy. And then we're gonna need a blade, a squeegee, and a glove. All right, first up, let's knock out the tailgate. We can make pretty quick work of this with 3 easy steps. Step 1, we're gonna align the center cutout with the tailgate handle. Step 2, we're gonna align the edges of the tailgate. And step 3, we're just gonna check and make sure that these top line cutouts right here align perfectly with the body line. After you got that lined up, what you wanna do is you wanna make a center hinge, as you can see I'm doing here. And we're just gonna do this left to right. You can do a wet install with this, or you can do a dry install. I personally prefer to do a dry install with this because of the small cutouts in the tailgate letters, and you have to let it sit for quite a bit longer and cure before you pull off the liner. I like to work fast, so I'm just going to do a dry install here, but you can definitely do a wet install. The biggest mistake that I see people make is they get way too caught up in trying to work top to bottom or left to right, or they get too caught up in trying to make the letters align. If you align the handle and you line the edges, and then step 3, you check the body line on the top, and you make sure you hit all those points, the letters will fall perfectly. Start in the middle, all the way out left, all the way out right, and get the center attached first, and then divide and conquer, work up, and then work down. Guys, quick tip here. I actually forgot to mention this during the video, but this is going to help out tremendously with your alignment. Put a piece of blue tape down and make a mark with the Stabilo on the decal and the tape. That way, once you swing the decal back over, you can align everything perfectly. Now, you can pop these handles up. They go around the tailgate handle and just slightly adjust it and make sure your alignment's perfect before you squeegee down. So, as per usual, I'm just going left in the center, right in the center, and then I'm dividing and conquering. I'm going top to bottom. And now here on the bottom, I'm doing long sweeping strokes all the way left, all the way right. And I'm going to have a slight bit of extra material, and it's no big deal. That's why the vinyl and the air mask is conformable. So I'm just doing long sweeping strokes, left to right, left to right, left to right, all the way through, and just get that conformed nicely around there. After that, whether you did a dry install or a wet install, go over it again very thoroughly. The beauty of the air mask is you can see the path exactly where your squeegee is going, so you can make sure that you get all the air bubbles out or all the water out if you did a wet install. And then just double check the little cutouts on the O and the A's and make sure that those are really tacked down. If you did a dry install, feel free to pull this liner off now using proper technique, 45-degree angle. Keep it flat against the vehicle, extremely low profile. You don't want to pull away from the vehicle. Of course, that's going to create more bubbles, especially if you did a wet install. So you're going to keep a low profile and you're just going to peel that back nicely. And then you're going to step back and look at your work and say, God dang. Okay, next up, we're going to knock out the hood trio. This one is a TRD Sport, so it includes 2 stripes and the center hood scoop decal, and the same goes for the TRD Pro. Key alignment points here are these 4 notches, and these are going to align with the vertical bars in the hood scoop grill. And the spacing is built in, so you have a 3/16 inch spacing that's going to butt up right against the plastic of the grill. I want to note that the corners slide underneath. Now, I would highly recommend doing a wet install with this. It's going to allow you to just glide that underneath and float it around until you get it exactly where you want it. So we're going to take our slip solution and we're going to just wet down the decal, wet down the hood, slide this in. Once I get it aligned perfectly where I want it, and I see that these notches are aligned perfectly with the vertical bars and that it's all squared up and just butted up against the plastic and the corners are sitting nice and neat underneath, I'm going to just gently just glide right down the middle, and we're going to make our center hinge. After that, I can work left to right. This is going to require a little bit of patience with the wet install because you are going to have to expel some of that fluid out of the corners, and just take your time with this and make sure that the film is really nice and relaxed. You can also take some water or some isopropyl alcohol and you can flush out some of that slip solution in the corners. That's going to help expedite the process a little bit. You'll notice this top scoop has a little bit of play in it. You can actually pull that up and get your squeegee underneath here to finish it off. Once you got those corners pinned down, it's very, very important to get that top surface first. You can see here I'm just basically gliding my hand with an install glove and a combination of squeegee, not trying to stretch it into the corner because otherwise that's going to fail over time. You don't want to get water getting in there because water will carry dirt and it'll start deteriorating your graphic. And then you're going to email me and write a bad review and say these decals suck, this didn't last that long, when in reality, you just fucked it up. So be patient with this. Follow the instructions closely. Center hinge, work left to right. Make sure the part next to the grill is down very nice and relaxed, and then do your slight stretching out. I would highly recommend you let that sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, if not more. Then you can just gently peel that air mask and reveal that beautiful finish. Here we go, onto the hood stripes. Now, to show you that there's really no right way or wrong way to do these, I'm going to do one of these stripes with a dry install method, and I'm going to do the other one with a wet install method. So here's your key alignment points. You're going to make sure that the back corner butts up right to the corner of the hood, and I would highly recommend you just put a piece of tape down to hold that down. Then you want to go towards the front of the vehicle and you want to take a look down the line of sight there, and you want to see that whole hood stripe cut out align with the body lines. And once you've really got that dialed in, it's okay to make a couple adjustments. You want to make sure you get this perfect because once you start, there's no stopping. So get that lined up. Go ahead and make a center hinge like I'm doing here using some tape. And then you're going to use the Band-Aid technique or the hinge technique. You're going to peel one half, install, peel the other half, install, go over it very thoroughly with the squeegee, and then go ahead and just peel that off if you've done a dry install and it's already cured and ready to go. Now with the wet install, I'm just going to go ahead and get busy. I'm going to peel this backing paper. I'm going to go ahead and be liberal with the solution. That's the only time I like to use that word. I'm going to spray the back of the vinyl. I'm going to spray the vehicle, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just float this on top and just shimmy it around until I get it exactly where I want. You can take your time here. Same principles apply. Get that back corner lined up. Make sure that you're hitting that body line perfectly. Now the difference here with the wet install, you want to be very, very gentle with the first few passes and just really make sure that doesn't accidentally move while you're squeegeeing it down. So go ahead and anchor that down somehow, some way, and then you can just go over everything really thoroughly. Now you're going to do a second pass with the hard edge of the squeegee, and you're going to try to expel as much solution out as you can. Now, since we just did a wet install, I'm going to recommend that you just let that chill and just sit and cure and let that adhesive set up for about minimum 10 minutes, but it's okay to let it sit for 30 minutes to an hour. The longer you wait, the more that adhesive is going to dry out and the less chance you have of creating bubbles when you're peeling back the air mask. Moving on to the doors. We made these a little bit easier to handle than the Tundra by breaking these up into 2 pieces per side. So you're going to have 1 piece for the front door, 1 piece for the rear door. The order in which you put these on does not matter, but I'm going to highly recommend that you do a wet install with these because there is a bit of curvature on the bottom of the doors with the Tacoma, and it's going to be very hard to register this properly, meaning align everything properly, if you don't do a wet install. But the wet install allows you to just glide everything around after you've laid it on the vehicle and get it exactly where you want. And then we're going to use the same technique. We're just going to be pretty gentle with the first few passes, and then we can slowly start to increase pressure and make sure that we expel as much solution out as we can. So I'm going to make quick work of these for the sake of the video. So I'm going to peel the backer, spray the vehicle, align it, float it around until I got exactly where I want it, and I'm just going to rinse and repeat for all the other remaining doors, and I'm just going to let those sit, and I'll come back and peel those off later so that I can go get some stuff done. Whew, ripping through these, no problem. Okay, we got all the easy ones out of the way. Now we're gonna move on to the bedside decals. You guys, I cannot stress this enough. You already have to check off a lot of disclaimers on the site when you buy these things, but I'm telling you right now, these are not for the novice installer. You must have knowledge of how vinyl works, how it stretches. Every aspect of vinyl installing is crucial with these bedside decals in order to get these to go on properly. So, key alignment points is the taillight cutout and this bottom body line above the fender arch. Those are going to be the only two alignment points that we're going to need for this. And we are definitely going to use a wet install with this because we're going to need to take advantage of the capabilities of a slip solution. Here you can see I'm mocking this up along the edge of the taillight. I'm not really so much worried about the middle part of the decal, but the very end of it, I want to make sure that it is touching exactly where I want on the body line. So I'm going to rip the backing paper off and I'm going to spray quite a bit of solution on the decal. I'm going to spray quite a bit of solution on the vehicle and I'm going to go ahead and mock that up exactly where I want it and start moving things around. First things first, I'm going to get that taillight area lined up and I'm going to step back and look at my work, make sure I got nice even spacing. So I'm going to look at my work, I'm going to make sure I got that where I want it. Then I'm going to look up at the end of the decal and again, I want that sitting exactly where I want. I don't care if there's some extra slack in the middle right now. I'm just trying to make sure that the decal is leveled exactly the way I want it to go before I start squeezing anything down. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a hinge all the way at the back, not in the middle. So I'm going to lock this down. I would highly recommend you just follow my exact patterns because I tested this many times during the development of this decal. So you're going to lock this down in the back. You're going to lock down that separate cutout decal. And then I'm going to come up to the end point here and I'm going to pull just very gently back and away. And I'm going to just give that some tension across there. And I'm going to just sweep that solution out there, give that a couple passes and make sure that's locked down. Now, here's where the magic happens. I put some fresh solution in my bottle with really hot water. You want to heat up the material and allow it to be more flexible and pliable. Now I'm going to flush some solution in the middle and it's going to allow quite a bit of slip as I stretch this here. And I'm going to use both hands like a squeegee and I'm watching my work very closely as I pull this and I'm going to squeegee this out. I'm actually lengthening this decal a bit, just a bit, and it's going to allow that to really conform nicely back there so I can basically take that slack and imagine like a rubber band. You're just stretching that rubber band out. Now I'm going to spray a little bit more solution in there if I need, and I'm going to eyeball that and I can move that up or down just a bit to get that cutout exactly on that body line. And once I've got that in place, go ahead and just start connecting the two ends. And I'm just going to use long sweeping strokes and go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you're going to go right down the middle. So basically just squeegee right down the middle, right through that TRD logo. And then I can divide and conquer. I can work that solution up through the top and I can work the rest down through the bottom. And then of course, since we did a wet install, we're going to let that sit and let that adhesive set up for a bit. And I'm going to move on to the next thing. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out the other side. We're going to let all this dry. And then we're going to go ahead and give you a montage of peeling action, baby. All right, I'm just going to narrate this live so that you can see an uninterrupted install. I'm not going to do any jump cuts. I'm just going to narrate this as we're watching this together. So I'm spraying down the decal, I'm spraying down the bedside. I'm going to go ahead and mock that up there. I already have an understanding of where my mock-up points are, so I'm getting that tail light aligned first. And I'm making sure that that cutout hits that body line on the bedside. So I'm coming back here. I'm standing basically behind the tailgate. So I have a good view of the taillight section. And then I'm going to just go ahead and line this up. Now, you'll see that not everything goes perfectly when you're installing. So you have to be able to think quickly and be on your feet. I believe when I go to stretch this that I actually accidentally move it. Yep, see, I messed it up right there. So it's okay, just realign. Don't lose sight of the very end point of the decal. So I'm realigning that again. And then before I squeegee anything down, I'm looking down. You can see my hand right there. I'm just adjusting it. So now I'm going to go ahead and lock this down. Go ahead, bud. There you go. Locking it down. Going to go ahead and hit that whole bottom piece. You may pop that bottom piece, but it's best just to lock it down. Then I'm going to give some slight tension up and back, and I'm going to sweep that solution out back there. You'll see that matches up nicely with the body line. Now I'm going to grab my solution, just flush in some extra slip solution. That's going to allow the middle of the decal to glide while I stretch this. Again, it's hot water, very hot water. Not boiling, but just very hot. And I'm using my hands to manually just apply some stretch here. I'm literally just lengthening that decal a bit. And I'm watching my work. Once I got that exactly where I want it to go, I'm going to lock down the front of that, go over it pretty thoroughly, make sure it doesn't shrink back on you. Now we want to check this body line here. As you can see by my face, it looks good. Oh yeah, buddy. Now, if you needed to, you can definitely move that up or down a couple millimeters, but as you can see, I nailed it. So I'm just gonna go for the center hinge, sweeping right through that TRD Pro logo, and then I'm gonna divide and conquer, so I'm sweeping the solution out towards the bottom, and then I'll tackle the top after that. Now, an important note here, if you put enough stretch on it, there shouldn't really be any wrinkles that you're chasing out. You shouldn't have much wrinkling going on around the TRD Pro logo on the top or the bottom. It should just want to conform to the bedside. That's the whole purpose of stretching it. If you're finding yourself having too many wrinkles, what I would recommend is just pop that bedside decal up by the gas cap, apply some slip solution, and just start over again. Just give it a little more manual stretch, so that way once you're squeegeeing everything down, you're not really chasing wrinkles out. I hope that helps. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Let us know what kind of decals you would rock for your vehicle. And last but not least, make sure you check out the website and see all the options that we have. There's no other company that's providing you this many different customizable options for your Toyota Tacoma. Thank you guys for watching. Troy with Rumble Wrap signing out. We'll see you on the next one. Kobe.